It's a great feeling to be loved. It's a great feeling to see how, no matter
Mhm.
how tough the time is, we figure out a way, right? That's what I tell even my product teams, that
Yeah.
there is not never just a one route to where you're going. There are several ways to make it happen and be open to that. So I feel like I'm able to speak to you. It's kind of also to me that I'm able to speak to anybody about this because it changed me for the person I am, the better person. And I don't carry any kind of like, oh, how do I tell somebody about this? Because it's such a, you know, like sensitive topic. But I derived a lot of strength going through the work I put in myself after all this happened. So I feel like hope others also are inspired by it and prioritize themselves.
Absolutely. And isn't it such a powerful thing when you open up about it and then suddenly you're able to receive all of that love and support that people want to give you that
Yes.
you wouldn't have otherwise known about had you
No.
stayed silent?
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Error 404 Forecast, the only error message worth subscribing to. Today, I have an honored guest and a first time podcast guest, Miss Nivedita. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. Definitely honored as well to be pushing myself out of my comfort zone and joining you on this podcast.
Oh, I love that. Don't you just love getting out of your comfort zone? It's so much fun.
Yes.
Not.
Yeah. I feel
Oh my
like
gosh.
in the moment it just makes you like almost like want to throw up, but then it's such a cool thing because once we are past this podcast, I would have that sense of like, oh, that was pretty cool, right? Like I think it's the anticipation, having never done it is where I think we all get stuck. But other than that, like everyone I was sharing this sort of anticipation, a little bit of anxiety with, they were like, oh my god, how cool. And in some altered like career path, I see such great, I listen to great podcasts, yours included. Listening to your podcast with Amin was awesome. So um I think like, oh, this would be cool to like talk with people, and here I am talking to you. So universe is listening and bringing me to the right places.
You absolutely manifested it for yourself. And I love how
100%.
vulnerable you were with me just then, explaining how like the anxious and the nervousness to do something like this for the first time. Like that is so real and that is something that so many people would never talk about because it's so like nobody wants to be new at something. But
Yeah,
how else do you get to be good or how else do you get to
exactly.
be confident in any area other than just doing it, When we just talked to Mike Mazza from ADT about iterating over perfecting and, how people get caught up in like analysis paralysis and they get stuck because
Yeah.
they're scared of just trying something. And I think that is such a great, I love, 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 love that sentiment of just getting through that I want to throw up feeling
Yeah, I
and
mean, that's the
just
best I
doing
could
it.
describe. I also love what you just said, iterating over perfecting. I mean, that one is very close to my heart. I grew up in India. I was raised in an environment and a culture that is perfection driven. And I see it manifest in different shapes and forms up until like today in my life. So, to your point about analysis paralysis, very, very tough for me to put a sloppy deck out. Very, very tough for me to just, tell a team member, go figure, like giving them structure, giving them guidance, for myself too, structure for myself. So, all of this, I feel like it's a life lesson as much as like we try to put it in the workplace as well, that let's not go for pie in the sky. Let's figure out our first well informed step, go execute, learn from it, iterate, refine, get better, grow. All sounds very good and paper, but I think sometimes when we are wired to chase perfection in life, in work, in anything we touch or do, I think it can put a lot of pressure. And speaking of vulnerability, I think a lot of the anticipation anxiety might also have stemmed from that I didn't want to mess this up. So I think that's
Um,
where it is at. But I'm here and I'm feeling excited about where the conversation takes us.
Yeah, I'm so, and I want to say first off, there is nothing that you can say that would mess this up. You being here and taking the time out of your day to do this with me is just enough in itself. And I think that we forget that, like, we want to do so much for other people that we forget that, like, we are enough. You know, like you get put in a role or you get put in a job and you get, I know me specifically and a lot of women that I've talked to face imposter syndrome. You know, like we
Yes,
feel like we are having to fake it all the time because we
it's
feel like we're
real.
not enough.
Hmm.
When we are in that room for a reason, we're in this role for a reason. And I think if a lot of us would stand on that and really sit with that, we would really feel that power um, of just doing things without fear of failure. That's one thing that I think I had to learn the hard way is that failure is gonna happen. Like it
Hmm.
doesn't matter how perfect of a product you put out there,
Yeah.
somebody's gonna find something wrong with it. Like
Yeah.
so there is no point in trying to perfect something instead of just putting yourself
Out
out
there.
there, being
Hmm.
okay, because you learn more from the feedback than you did from trying to put something out that's perfect anyway. All of your value comes from the feedback. It comes from the failure.
Yeah.
And is that not the most ironic thing ever? That
It
all of
is.
your
It
oh
is. It
I
is ironic. It is how we are wired to, and there is a little bit of good, I feel like, with it too, that you hold yourself to high standards. The good that comes with it is you don't settle for less, but you have to have the balancing act, the dance between fire and ice, I suppose. That when do we do draw the fine line? When is it too much? Analysis paralysis. These phrases are popular because I think it's common for humans, women, and be it whatever gender, to like have these feelings come through. So yeah, I would say, to your point, and I agree with this, walking into a room knowing that the purpose that they're invited there is intentional. I had that, like, today I was sitting on a panel for guiding the next gen of product talent at the company, and while walking up to the panel chairs, my heart was beating tick, 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 like, because it's normal. And I had to just tell myself in the moment that what I'm experiencing, it would be experienced by anybody when they're kind of sitting facing like a large crowd. Um, but these are questions, and I'm not required to have all the answers. So if there is a question that I don't know, I will just say, that's a great question and something I have to reflect on too. So thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. So it instilled a little bit of calm, but I know that in my day to day, in my life, in my career, there's also instances where I walk in putting that pressure on. I have to have this go really well, and that's when things
Mhm.
start to kind of add more anxiety than needed.
Absolutely. And I love to kind of like coping mechanisms that you just brought up.
Hmm.
One being anybody that's in this position would also feel this way. It is such a powerful thing to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that is such a great tool to use when, you're in the moment. Your heart is beating like tachycardic and you're like, what am I going to do? Like
Yeah.
anybody in with the sane mind that's sitting in the same spot that you're in would have those feelings. So you're not alone.
Yeah.
What an amazing tool. Like what an amazing thought to have.
It is.
And number two, um okay, well, if somebody asks me a question that I don't know, what am I going to do? Like having a plan for like the worst case scenario, like your worst case scenario being asked a question that you don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
Having a plan for when that happens makes everything else seem not so scary.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, there are
you've already know what's
bigger
going to
problems.
happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it lets the things that are actually problems, you can focus on that instead of being worried about all of the what ifs. Like you've already got a plan for it. So it's
Yeah.
okay. And your mind is free.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so amazing. Oh my gosh. I love. So where did those like, is that just kind of something that you've always leaned on? Like, how have you managed stress? Have you always been so good at this? Like, where
No,
did that come
no.
from?
I am very much a work in progress. And I have just learned along the way, both from my personal life experiences as well as, you know, being in the workplace for like this long across continents. So I've worked in India, I've worked here, and kind of tried to absorb what's best of both worlds. Do I always um, act and think consciously, bringing all those learnings to the center? Not always, but try to be mindful as much as possible. Having therapy has also helped me that, what's the worst that could happen? Just because I was raised in a
Mhm.
very competitive environment where being second in class was not an option. And I say it's not an option, like nothing would happen if I were, but it was just that feeling of like disappointment and overpowering feeling of failure that would take a long time to cope from. So over time, more life experience, more maturity um, is helping. I'm still a work in progress. When I have to do anything like any task, be it at home, be it at work, I can't just do a rough delivery. So that's why I wanted to know, like, there's no secret sauce here. I'm working on it and taking it day by day. One of the team members I work closely with was in the room today, and after the panel was done, they sent a very nice picture of me while I was like in the panel, and they were like, "Oh," they said nice things, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that is such a kind thing to say," and having him there also instilled that sense of like, I know this guy, and like I could lean on him if I
Mhm.
had some, hiccups or I didn't know the answer. So I don't know. It has happened in time. Every day brings new learnings. Some days I am really
Yeah.
present and focused to absorb it and execute on it. Some days it takes a little bit to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's especially being able to admit that you're still a work in progress. I think that in itself is so powerful because then you're continuously open to learning new things. And because nobody's ever really got it figured out. Nobody's done
No,
working on themselves. And as
no.
much as people don't want to admit that, it's the truth. And being
Yeah.
able to say out loud, like, I am not done learning
Hmm.
is almost like taking that power and like being able to harness it. And that is so cool. And I love this is literally a gold mine. I love this conversation so much. So if let's just for a brief minute, let's talk about your kind of upbringing. You touched on it a little bit, being very competitive and, also in a different kind of sense, like from an athletic background, I kind of am
Yeah. Very
resonating with you a
competitive.
lot on
Yeah.
that. Like, one thing is that's not good enough. Like, you've got to figure it out. And like, not being like your swing, especially in softball, like to swing the bat and like hit the ball, like your swing has to be perfect. And I suffered, especially in college, with, the analysis paralysis in my physical, performance, because when you're in the heat of the moment, like you're in the game, you can't think about mechanics because you're
You
not
are
going to
the
be
yeah.
do anything. You're not going to be able to make those split second decisions that you have to make if you're bogged down worrying about where your labrum should be. Like
Yeah.
that's
Oh my god.
I'm telling you, like those are the things that like I used to think about. I'd be like, is my mandibular, fibular, lateral antericosis in parallel, perpendicular. Like these are like literally the words that I'm thinking of as I'm in the game. When you have to be free, you have got to, number one, be okay with failing because I wasn't. Like that was like the worst thing that could ever happen to me was failing. And so I was running away from that. And then it's like, okay, so by default, I'm running towards success because I'm running away with failure. But I never actually got to taste success because I wasn't actually chasing it. I was running
Hmm.
away. And I was never really able to learn or grow or build relationships because I was in that fear state.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you can kind of resonate a little bit with that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think I leaned into this as well because my brain works very much with the why behind the what. If I'm acting this way or presenting myself this way, why is that happening? And going back to, I worked with my therapist a lot on this as to give me some insights, come from a unbiased perspective of why I am, you know, this way. And she made a very good point that being raised in um so India is developing, at least when I was growing up, developing country, and lots of like people, high
Mhm.
population, majority of people are lower middle class, trying to like make ends meet. So when that's the environment where you have a lot of people in my class was always like 60 people in one class, 60 kids in one class. That's a lot, right? And opportunities are limited. Good opportunities are limited. So each generation coming out of poverty and then getting a little bit better to being able to afford the basics and then getting a little bit better and being able to provide education to their kids. And that's where I was with my parents, but there was still so much more that they wanted for us when we were to like step into the world. And I think I see it from both angles that the the competition, the pressure in that environment comes from the repercussions of failing. There is scarcity of basic resources, money, for example. There's not affluence of money. I'm saying that's prevalent everywhere, but especially in my environment, that was the case. So if we were to fail a class, if we were to fail something, the repercussions of going through it the next time would be very, very difficult. So, on the flip side, you are wired to do good, taking that for granted. So, I think that conditioning over time makes the wiring go like, yeah, if I do good, that's expected, that's my duty. And whether I get recognized for it or not doesn't matter, but I cannot fail because if I fail, um, I don't know what the repercussions would be, but that's how the wiring works. So, she explained that, and it made a lot of sense because. Um, I remember like my parents have had to sacrifice like a lot of their desires and wants to make sure we get the right education, the right books and needs as students figured out. So clearly, if we were not doing what was required to be done to, you know, get somewhere good in life, then where will they bring the next set of resources from? So I get that. Um, the good thing about that kind of upbringing, which I'm super proud of and would not trade it, is the sense of discipline, the sense of ownership, the sense of like passion. I would not pick something if I have no like interest or desire, but once I pick it, once I'm in it for the long haul. So those types of things, just talking about it makes my heart sing. Like, that's where I feel like the emotions that can't be described when you feel passion in your heart. Um, that's the good side of like being raised and modeled like that. And then the flip side sometimes is like, yeah, you are setting yourself for an unrealistic expectation that things will be perfect.
Yeah, wow. That is, I'm sorry, I'm like processing that whole story because that is so powerful.
Yeah,
Like
I never
you could write a book, honestly, and I would read it probably.
Well, thank you. Maybe I should since I have a reader already signed
Hey,
up.
we're all about firsts over here. We are all about first.
Yes, we
So
are.
I will be your first buyer. I do require that my cover be signed though. However,
Yeah.
that's my caveat.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. So power. Wow. There's so much to talk about there. Okay.
I know.
So I am like, my jaw is on the floor. I'm still trying to pick it up. But so finding that balance between perfection and like, because we don't want to be sloppy, right? Like we don't want to put things out that are not well thought through. And we don't want to be comfortable without giving it our all. So I guess
Mhm.
with you working through with your therapist and with your background, where have you been able to find that happy medium or that balance? Like, where is that for you? Where is that fine line, and how do you find it?
That's a great question. For me, um, trying to reframe that like desire for perfection to I hold myself to high standards. High standards do not mean the highest standards. They're just some, you know, attributes that I've set for myself that this is how I would deliver. Um, I I'll give you an example in my household, and by household I mean my parents, my siblings. They all know that I'm Miss Spick and Span because I can't have something picked up from somewhere and kept somewhere, right? It can be seen as like, oh my God, that's too much because I do have some like those that kind of chaos. But when it's like in a space that I live in, I want structure and organization. Um, for me at work, what has helped because I think that's where like I'm spending a good amount of my time. Um, never compromising on my never is a wrong usage. I try to deviate from using never and always, and here I did that. So, um, not compromising on the standards, keeping them high and keeping the ambition, the fire like really going, but also finding my circle of trust where presenting my first sketch, first draft, first whatever is a safe space to invite thoughts. So if I am asked to do a quick executive deck. Am I going to show my first draft to my senior most leader? No, but I want to like find the partners, the allies, and it comes through working on those relationships over the years, right? So there's someone I adore, and I'm so grateful that I've gotten to work with him at my current company. Um, we don't work any together anymore, but the moment there is a visual, there is like a visual engaging marketing campaign I have to do, my first draft goes to him for like, what do you see? You have an eye for design,
Yeah.
tell me. So I feel like that does give me a sense of I have a safety net where I can
Yeah.
go out without any inhibition and present my work or talk about what I'm thinking in a very raw form to invite like thought, feedback, collaboration, and
Yeah.
then help shape it a little bit better. So to me, that has definitely been helpful. Um, I guide my team to do so too because I see like when you lead with high standards, your team also feeds off of you. So they also start holding themselves to high standards, and I have to remind them that I'm speaking from experience. Having high standards and thinking perfection at each delivery are two different things. So try not
Mm.
to be 20 years down in your experience and be saying the same things that I'm saying to you to your next in line like team members. So yeah, that to me is something like, yeah, I'm working on. I also saw you do this, which I have recently learned from my team member. It's clock it. I learned. I dated myself here, but
Oh
yes.
my gosh. Yes, sorry. Well, I was clocking when you said having high expectations and perfection are two different things. And I'm sorry, that was just like a visceral reaction because wow, like literally just wow. That's all I can say to that because it is so easy for us as people with high standards and with high, ambition and goals and all of these, almost out of this world things that we are trying to do. To us, they're just normal.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's so easy to get caught up in every single thing being perfect. And to us, it's like, well, yeah, that's the standard. No, it's not. That is not the standard. And another thing, you talking about collaborating with other people, it is so important that
Mm-hmm.
I have found people in your network to sanity check you
Yeah.
because it's so easy to get tunnel vision, even when like that perfection and high standards aren't the same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody says that. But having somebody to be able that you trust enough and that you
Yep.
have the vulnerability and the self-awareness to be able to reach out to that person and say like, hey, what do you think, or hey,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this, and be able to get another set of eyes on it, and the openness to receive the feedback of, dude, no, it's good, like stop wrapping yourself around the handle about this, it looks great, like, and being able to take that and trust those people,
Yeah.
that is so important to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought that up because I think a lot of people tend to, especially me. So for a while, I was very, lone wolf. Like I was like, I don't need anybody because I had gotten hurt by a relationship in the past. I trusted that person, and they ended up not having my best interest at heart, and that damages, your ability to lean on other people and meet people and trust them to, not make a fool of you, and that kind of, for me, it changed my tone when I accepted that people are going to stab me in the back. That's just going to
Yeah.
happen. People are going to make me a liar. I'm going to stick my neck out for people. That won't be the last time. There's going to be somebody else that I come
Yes.
across that I will stick my neck out for, that will prove me wrong, and that's okay,
Yeah.
because
It is.
I am typically okay with being proven wrong if my initial thought was the best about somebody. If
Yeah.
I see the best of somebody and I get proven wrong, then that's
Yeah.
what else.
No, you can, and it's life. I mean, I have a similar personal story that also made a lot of who I am today. Because I I knew that I will get married, I will have a house, I'll have 4 kids because I myself am like 2 siblings, me and my brother, and I had this idea, very like dreamy idea of like, okay, 4 kids means at any given time, 1 kid at a minimum will have the back of the other. So let's plan for like the long term. You see, like how my brain works,
Yeah,
and then
not
life,
analytical at all.
and life brings up a very undesired path. Like my marriage fell apart, and um, tried very hard, but it just didn't work. It got to a place where my safety was a concern. So then coming out of a loss like that, coming out of like, oh my God, how did I not see this? Like there's so much like self-doubt and mistrust that seeps in. Um, but once you're like over the cliff and kind of see how stronger, how you have grown to this date, I feel like my there will always be the sense of loss, got lost. But to this date, I don't feel any kind of like anger, or I feel free. I feel like it was something I needed to understand that you can plan for everything you want to. Sometimes you just have to be nimble, flexible, and keep moving with life with head on, like embrace what it gives you. Um, and adjust and tweak, because can't be the same person we were like 20 years ago. So the learning the hard way with life lessons, but I'm glad that I learned it. To this day, the day I got married is my favorite day, because I don't want to grow as a person coming out of this loss as keeping a sore spot, or a like resentment piling on. It was for the best. Yes, it could have happened some other way, but I'm sorry.
I I'm sorry, like I'm literally getting emotional right now because
That is
this
not the intention. We can swing back
no,
to
I no, please, because I'm emotional because I am so proud of you.
oh,
I
thank you,
am
Lindsay.
so proud of your like that is just so brave of you. First of all, to even share that with me, and second of all, to be able to recognize and get out of that situation is something that so many women
Yeah.
will never be able to say that they did.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm just so unbelievably proud of you
thank
for
you.
that
Thank you. Yeah. I mean,
accomplishment.
I I had my share of going through the shame aspect of it, not wanting to talk to anybody, kind of feeling like life is just done. Like,
Yeah.
where do I go from here? But I feel like human resilience is you pick it back up. We all are maybe on a different time setting. If someone needs a month, someone needs years, someone needs forever, who knows? But we are wired to pick back up and not give up, right? So I feel
Yeah.
like another positive from the way I was brought up is resilience. Like, I've seen adversity where it's not a good feeling when you get new outfits for a holiday and your parents do not, right? You see that how
Yeah.
much sacrifice they're making and they still are prioritizing you. It's a great feeling to be loved. It's a great feeling to see how, no matter
Mhm.
how tough the time is, we figure out a way, right? That's what I tell even my product teams, that
Yeah.
there is not never just a one route to where you're going. There are several ways to make it happen, and be open to that. So I feel like I'm able to speak to you. It's kind of also to me that I'm able to speak to anybody about this because it changed me for the person I am, the better person. And I don't carry any kind of like, oh, how do I tell somebody about this? Because it's such a, you know, like sensitive topic. But I derived a lot of strength going through the work I put in myself after all this happened. So I feel like hope others also are inspired by it and prioritize themselves.
Absolutely. And isn't it such a powerful thing when you open up about it and then suddenly you're able to receive all of that love and support that people want to give you that
Yes.
you wouldn't have otherwise known about had you
No.
stayed silent?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that isolation is probably one of the biggest things that I can speak to on my experience. Like the isolation is the worst part. Isolating yourself, telling yourself that you're
Mm-hmm.
alone, that nobody's gonna care, that nobody even that you're wrong and that you shouldn't say anything. You should feel ashamed. You should feel embarrassed. Like you rob yourself of all of the love and the support that people want to give you.
Yeah, you
So
do.
to anybody that's listening right now that has felt any sort of desire to isolate themselves, don't do it. It's a lie. It
Mm-hmm.
is isolation is a lie that your brain tells yourself is going to make everything go away
Yeah,
because it's not.
it is not. And I'm so thankful you're making that plug because it is important for people to hear this. We all go through struggles and challenges, and we are not built to be dealing with it alone. So definitely reach out, seek help, and know that there is definitely someone else also likely going through something similar. So that
Yeah,
shared sense of like empathy, I know it's not helpful in the moment, but I do feel now I'm able to speak about it like very openly. But in the moment, it would give me those feelings. But again, picking yourself back up and seeking help, I think was the way I found my growth out of this immense loss and pain.
absolutely. Well, is there anything else in closing that you would like to tell somebody that's listening that maybe has gone through or is going through something similar to what we've discussed? Is there anything that you'd like to tell them?
Um, just not losing yourself in the process, in the experiences, in relationships, in work commitments, life commitments, prioritizing yourself, striking that balance, I would say, um, is very important because we come in this world by ourselves, we leave this world by ourselves, and while we are here to um, be together and be friendly and be nice and kind and everything, we got to make sure like we are prioritizing ourselves, taking care of ourselves through adversity, especially. So, yeah, I don't have like a very amazing TED Talk
Oh my
type
gosh, you just gave
guidance,
us,
but
oh my, okay, as you just gave us like 30 minutes of pure therapeutic gold.
oh, oh,
You're not going to flatter yourself, but I will flatter you because that was amazing.
oh, Lindsay,
And
you're so kind. Thank you
I am
again
just,
for the opportunity to provide that space that we could just talk about so many aspects of our just existence and growth. Like pushing through all of that is also growth.
of course. And this definitely will not be the last time that you make a guest appearance on this podcast, I can assure you.
Amazing,
So,
amazing.
okay. Well, it's been an absolute joy this afternoon to get to have the privilege of talking to you. So, until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Era 404 cast. Until we come out with the next episode, please try not to get lost. But if you do, you know where to find us. Peace.